So we didn't really have like female influences like that. So just going down that sector of, hygiene and fashion, what colors to put together, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I fell into the rabbit hole of like femininity content also. And I was like, oh, wow, there's probably people like me that didn't have like female role models. And if I'm trans, because I was a really heavy tomboy, I didn't care about anyone around you who knew me. I didn't care for makeup, like
really?
Clothes. I wouldn't even, God, my friend, she'll tell you, like, I didn't even used to make sure my clothes were ironed. Kid you not. Like, I was just not it. I was a hot mess.
Good morning and welcome to the Dr. Daf Show. I'm Dr. Daf and I'm here today with a very special guest, the Haitian hottie and philosopher in her own right, Karine Alourde.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here.
I have been watching your videos for years now and I'm just so touched by all the different content that you make on icons in Hollywood, on femininity, and the different things that you've done that we'll talk about later that really touched my heart.
I just wanted to say too that her Esther series, I will always talk about it because that was so transformative when you did that. Like watching it in tears.
Oh, wow.
In tears.
Thank
I
you.
literally, listen, her whole Esther series. I always share it with everyone. I'm like, have you guys watched this video? I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much. Now, I do want to talk about that because I am curious as to what touched you. But before we talk about that, you're from Haiti, right? Originally.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how you grew up and your background.
Well, I grew up in Lagonave, Haiti, which was like very stereotypical, like the hut type of living. So my mom's house was made with like coconut leaves type of thing. So it was very foresty, very like nature. And then we moved to Port-au-Prince, which was like the total opposite before we came down here. So I grew up very in a village sense of mindset. So it was always around a lot of other women during the day. And so it was just a very villagey type of environment, So I'm grateful for my upbringing. I feel it really solidify who you are as you get older too. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Wow. Do you speak Creole?
Yes. Of course.
Of course you do. Of course,
of
right?
Of course, yeah.
How do you say you are beautiful in
Ou
Creole?
belle, ou vraiment belle.
Oh, wow. I wish I could. I wish I could say that. But you're so beautiful inside and out. You're such a sweet girl. Yes. And it makes sense that you had such a tight upbringing in a place that just kind of had like humble beginnings.
Yes, very.
So you are a YouTuber.
Yes.
Okay, and you make content on some of the most iconic women in Hollywood. You've made femininity content and you also have a channel that you have like mental gems and like wisdom and things of that nature. So when did you start making YouTube videos originally?
I started back in 2012, but it wasn't anything. Like it was just like put them up, take them down type of thing. And then my channel, there was a whole thing with YouTube. It got taken away. Like that's a long story for another
Your
day.
channel got taken away?
And I had to like fight for it back. But once I did, I kind of went, I think it was a period that I always say that God took the channel away when he did because I wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
And I feel like if I had it when I wanted it, like to start working on it, I would have went a whole different direction and it wouldn't have been a light that I probably would have been proud of. So I got it at the perfect time when I started doing a lot of healing and growing and things like that. And I feel the direction made sense at that time because I got it back during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I had to start all over again with subscribers and everything. And that's when I think something happened in 2020 globally. It just, your mind just, my mind went towards more of a healing space. And then I was able to, okay, this is the direction I'm going. But if I had it before, I would have been doing not nonsense content, but like stuff that,
Right. What kind of content did you do it on initially?
Initially, I used to do just random stuff like mostly vlogs or, like hot topics type of gossipy.
Okay. I know what you're saying.
And though, at the time, like housewife stuff, it just wasn't where I knew I would feel comfortable. And even sometimes with like the breakdowns, there was even times where I'm like, do I want to do this for, So I think God did it a way to where he kind of allowed me to start at a place where if I want to transition that, I can transition to more of a positive place, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, God knows what he's doing. And you know what? It is actually wonderful that you got your channel back, because I've never heard of anyone getting their channel back once it's taken away.
Yeah, that was God also.
That was definitely God.
That was definitely God.
Gave it back
I prayed a lot for it. It was gone for over a year and a half. Yeah. And I just kept appealing. And then just one day, I remember it was 2 days before my birthday. And I got the email. I didn't even believe it that day. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake, and then gave me back the check.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was really God, because I didn't expect to get it back. But I did tell him, if you give it back to me, then I'm going to try to do justice with it. So.
That's great. That's great. Who were some of your favorite YouTubers or your inspirations to start your new content?
My new content? Well, actually, you were one of them. Come on. I was listening actually to more etiquette type of videos, because my mom passed away when we were really young. So we didn't really have female influences like that. So just going down that sector of hygiene and fashion, what colors to put together, things like that. I fell into the rabbit hole of femininity content also. And I was like, oh, wow, there's probably people like me that didn't have female role models. And if I'm trans, because I was a really heavy tomboy, I didn't care about anyone around you who knew me. I didn't care for makeup,
really?
Clothes. I wouldn't even... God, my friend, she'll tell you, I didn't even used to make sure my clothes were ironed. Kid you not. I was just not it. I was a hot mess. And falling into that, it transformed me so much. I wanted to, let me talk to other people, but more with gentleness, because unfortunately in that sector, during that time, there was a lot of judgment there too, and an aggressive type of tone, judgmental. And I'm like, people don't know. So maybe reach them with more gentleness, because a lot of people like myself, I would hate for someone to not want to say hi to me because one hair was out of place, or maybe I didn't sit too proper enough, that whole, I thought maybe a different approach to that, to kind of let people know not everybody knows, even if they came from loving homes, or they don't have that knowledge. So just more of a gentle approach for it.
That's so good, because that's actually something that was important to me.
Yeah.
When I first started my channel, I made femininity content. This was 12 years ago. And I was so rude with it, because I just thought that people didn't do this because they just didn't care to.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just disrespectful that you're walking out the house smelling. And it didn't take until years when God was just no, kind of like you. My channel didn't get taken away, but I knew that I had to stop, because my attitude was really bad. And then later on, I came back with a different approach, because I grew with life and realized that people don't know. And what if someone didn't have an influence and they needed a whole handbook? Who would they listen to, and how would they feel hearing someone talk like that? So it's great that you did that, and you have such a pleasant voice. It not only is it that you're saying things in a nice way, but you sound so sweet and gentle, and that really heals people,
You too, though. That's you could feel the sincerity in the video. And I'm going to let you get to that point with the Esther series, What Touched Me. But it's the sincerity, and then just the aspect of God also. Because I do feel a lot, especially in that space, they're afraid to bring religion into it. And it can get very, not religion necessarily, because I always say God first, Jesus first,
Absolutely.
But it's kind of like that thing. You don't want to offend. You don't want to, certain people. But I love how unapologetic you were, and just I was just listening. I can't believe I'm hearing someone who's so, and it seemed very genuine, not faked, or, some people will do it to,
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah. It took a lot. And like you, it was okay, Lord, you're giving me another chance. So let me do it the right way. And considering the fact that you grew up, you didn't have your mother, but you did grow up in a place where you had other women around you.
Yes.
How did you learn how to take care of yourself before making the videos, obviously by the time you're making them, you've kind of mastered it. I mean, look at you. You've mastered it. Yeah. So before, what did you draw from? Or was it people in media or was it people around you? How did you learn how to become feminine?
Well, it was a lot with like the women also. Like when you do the breakdowns, that's why I kind of put the beauty tips in the beginning too. Learning as far as that. But like I had people like my aunt, although she was just like 4 years older than us, she was still considered, so she did the best she could for limited knowledge because her parents, like my grandparents, passed away while they were still young too. Okay. So, but it's just kind of trial and error. And then I have like great friends also that were into that girly girl stuff, teaching me makeup and, do it this way or like with my clothes, double check. It's good to have really good friends. I always stress that if you're a woman, a girl, have really good friends that's going to check you before you leave. Like, let me check, let me fix this, that way. And then you receive it and not like, be offended if they're just like, tweaking just a little bit of things. But having really good friends around that would look out for me in that way really helped a lot also.
That's so good. Yeah. That's great. Not everyone has that. And a lot of us wish that we had more friends that were willing to help us out. So that's a blessing. Rare.
But I do believe, I know I'm going to sound preachy, but I do believe if you pray about it, like your friends, God will bring those people that will do that. Because I went through it before I found my tribe, like my group of people. Really? You go through it a lot, but you really just patiently assess people. You pray about it. It just happens naturally. God will just connect you to the people.
So you did change the direction of your channel. Some point where you focused on iconic women in Hollywood, actors to singers and just people who were idolized in Hollywood. And I thought it was such a great concept. Like, wow, look at all these women that I've never even heard of. But so many other people knew who they were and they had such interesting stories. Why did you start making content like that? I thought it was genius, by the way.
Thank you. I did it because at first, when I was doing Femininity, we were breaking down the women's femininity, like how they, the surface things. And then as I was getting into their stories, like a Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, that like clean cut, polished, perfect look that they had so much more than that. I think my favorite woman I've ever broken down was Hedy Lamarr.
Oh, wow. I love her. I was just going to bring that up.
Yes. She helped invent Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
She's so smart.
She was intelligent. She had the fizzy pop, like the soda that you're drinking today would not be possible without her. But she was just reduced to, she never got to live and see people credit her for her inventions, and people just diminished her to just her face and an actress. And when I did stories like that, I wanted to show the young women too, like these people, yes, I know they're in an industry that is a lot, but they had stories that you probably could be inspired by, relate to, and then see that femininity is not just like the voice or the nails or, but they had a lot more behind it. And they had their own mistakes. They weren't perfect. It just kind of felt more easy to go into that. I just love learning about their stories. They always touch it. I also love Viola Davis' story. Yes. It resonated so much with me, and it goes beyond just like the celebrity aspect because there's like always a lesson in their life too.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's so true. And I remember with Hedy, you mentioned that she says she was someone who didn't even like her face because it brought her the wrong attention. And I think you said that she invented the GPS.
She did. Yes. I forgot about that.
Like, whoa, I needed her.
Yes. And even in Aspen, like you see where everybody goes to Aspen and her and the husband that she married helped build that whole, people don't even know that. Wow. When you ask anyone about Hedy Lamarr, they just talk about her face, and she hated public attention. I love that with her. She also died in my old neighborhood.
I remember you saying that.
I was reading and I was
walking the same streets.
I was walking the same streets as Hedy Lamarr, but she was just so reclusive and didn't like the attention. And I love that humility aspect with her also. So I love doing stories like that, learning that, because I didn't learn that. I would have probably never known that. if I didn't. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that so many of these women who are iconic in Hollywood, who are so beautiful and feminine, a lot of their stories are very tragic. And it's like we look at them and we're saying that we want to be like them and dress like them, but they had really tragic lives that I wouldn't want.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that side doesn't get talked about enough and how much pain that they struggled and went through. I remember you did one on Lucille Ball. Yes. That was recent. Yeah. And I didn't know any of that stuff about her. I mean, I used to love watching I Love Lucy, and she looked so happy and funny. And I had no idea that she went through so much as a child and so much with her husband. And I didn't know they had gotten divorced. Yeah. Who would have known any of that? I mean, you bringing light to these stories show the women in so many different aspects and also show what's possible. Because even though Hollywood didn't think Lucille Ball was beautiful for whatever, she's stunning.
She is. Yeah.
Just thought she was a comedian or just, someone that could make people laugh. She opened the way for a lot of female comedians.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. So I just think I think it's great that you show all different aspects of these women. It's so powerful. Which story, in your opinion, was like the most outrageous that you've done so far?
Jane Mansfield, by far. The more I kept doing her story, I was like, lady. I mean, she was in the Church of Satan. She was a lot. She was I was clutching my pearls as I was reading. I was just, but her story was, even the way she tragically passed away was intense. I was just, her story always stayed. And then Diana Dors also, I think she might be the most, well, you know what? Brooke Shields, that was it.
Wow.
That was the one.
Expected Brooke Shields.
Yeah, because the whole where she was like 13 and bare photos for that story disgusted me so much. I was rather emotional by it. I'm sensitive, so the fact that me personally, I can't speak for someone, but I really feel she was like groomed into, but she's just so okay with it.
Right.
Like in her older age, looking back at certain movies that she played where she was like 9 or 11 years old playing a,
wow.
She was playing that role with grown men in the movie, literally. And she was like, yeah, I don't see no problem in her older age. I'm like, a lot of people are indoctrinated with that. They're not even aware. And it kind of just made me sad for her, if anything. But a lot of the stories the women die without ever really understanding the trauma that,
right.
They never really understand it to the point where they kind of almost defend it. And you just kind of feel more like, wow.
So when we watch it and we listen to it, we are able to see the whole picture. So I'm hoping that it inspires women to do things differently.
Yes.
So that they don't have some of those same experiences.
Yes, especially in the industry. Yes. If you want to get into that, the do's and don'ts, that there's also stories of women that made it without having to do any of that, without having to compromise or that walked away, like Veronica Lake. She walked away willingly from it all. Yes. She was like, I don't want it. I see what it is. She made her little money and she disappeared. So there's a lot of inspiration in it.
So amazing. Now, something happened on YouTube that I was super touched by regarding you. This was, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. Someone made a video and it was someone who was making videos about things that I guess they were angry about. And it was about fake femininity, fake femininity gurus. And my picture was like, the iconic picture. And I thought, okay, I didn't actually see the video, but what I did see was your comment because in the video, she was talking, I guess, about people she thought were fake, but she loved you. And she's like, but Corinne is amazing. And she said all these wonderful things. And then in the comments, you actually said, you know what? I really admire Dr. Michelle, actually. And you talked about me in such a way that just really touched me because it showed your character. I didn't know who you were. You didn't know me personally, but you did not allow someone to talk badly about someone and put you on a pedestal just because. And I thought that was so kind of you because people don't do that. People don't, they're usually happy to be the one that's being put on a pedestal. So you speaking up for me in that way, I was so touched by that. And I just believe you're just so beautiful, such great character.
I was shocked to see it. I was like, what? Do you watch her videos? I spoke to her after that. I was like, do you watch her videos? Like, she don't belong there. And I had to let my subscribers know, like, she don't belong there, you know, because that was when I was really deep in the Esther series too.
Oh, wow. So let's talk about that, because you did mention that that was a series that touched you. I created a series based on a book by Michelle McLean Walters on the story of Esther in the Bible, Queen Esther. And she wrote a book. What I did was I went through each chapter in the book and I did lives every week. And I gave my own feedback, my own interpretation, my own testimonies. I just pretty much took each chapter and brought it to life on YouTube. So Corinne is saying that she watched it, and I am very curious to know what about it touched you.
Several. Like, for me, your story alone resonated with me. You spoke in a way. I'm not even sure. I think it was part of the Esther, but even the orphan part where you spoke, oh my God, listen.
The orphan spirit.
The orphan spirit, I was in tears. I watched that like 3 times. It was so beautifully stated that I really felt like God was using you to speak that. And it started a transformation, because I was already going to therapy, but I stopped for some time. And I was like, okay, I need to get back, you know, and it pushed me to go back and work on that. But the orphan spirit was what really touched me, just doing a lot of things for attention. Like when you gave your story of that time too, even when you spoke about like certain conversations and gossiping, like even my friends will tell you now, we talk, I'm like, I'm not comfortable gossiping. I'm not comfortable. You know, it's a lot of things you put in perspective in such a realistic way. It wasn't watered down. It wasn't like, it was just raw, like, you know, live in your truth. Say, okay, you can miss out on certain things. I just cannot stress enough how the orphan, like, you need to do a whole series. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
No, it's okay.
But on the orphan spirit, you put it into words that just resonated with me. I'll say that. You really put it into a way where a lot of the things, I wasn't offended by it. Like if someone else was telling you, you know, you'd be like, okay. But it was kind of like I was being checked, reading it to my soul. And I was just listening, like, how does she know to say this? Like,
it's all the Holy Spirit.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Because it was exactly what I needed to hear.
Yes.
And so I really enjoyed every last minute of that series, especially that part. That was what touched me the most.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for telling me, sharing that.
Of course.
Yes, that series was super powerful. I did a lot of fasting and praying before I started that series because I wanted the Lord to speak through me, because I know so many women needed it, including myself.
Yes.
And it helped me as well as I was going through it to check myself on certain things.
Yes.
Because it really does change your life when you're able to overcome whatever it is that's holding you back.
Yes.
And you said you were going to therapy, and that's like a wonderful way to start facing things in the mirror if you have a good therapist and you're willing to do the work. Do you feel like it's helped you, or do you feel like it was a waste of time?
Oh, it's helped a lot.
Okay.
I force all of my friends, not even recommend, I force them, like, get into therapy right now. It's gonna, because in the Black, especially Haitian community, it's not a thing. It's really not. Mental health is not even a thing. If someone have a mental crisis or they're going through it, we're such a like spiritual place. We'll say, oh, it's a possession, or it's, you know, that kind of, it's witchcraft.
Okay.
So they don't even believe in like medical, you know, chemical imbalances or anything like that. It's just, they have a refusal to understand the mental side of things. So I kind of want to, that's why in many of my videos, I'm always stressing, please go to therapy, especially to my Haitian people, because we have a lot of trauma. And I feel the minute we stop associating everything to that and just be like, okay, you know, stop giving that so much credit, if you know what I mean, and take accountability for your traumas, your pains, and go heal. Even the parents heal, you know, and deal with your children a lot, because there's a lot of parental and, you know, there's a lot of, in our community. It's a lot.
That can be really hard.
It is.
That can be really hard. But it's good that you're a role model in that sense, and people are looking to you. Haitian women are looking to you, and they're seeing if she does it, then it may not be so bad. Whenever it's someone that they look up to and admire, it always looks different. So it's good that you share that. You don't have to.
Yeah, thank you.
It's good that you do.
It can be scary at first because you like have to trust someone and open up to them, and it's very scary. And if you're like a control freak, you can be a little resistant, But
Right.
once they have a way. If you have a good therapist, like you said, they have a way of easing you and just naturally letting it out. And also when you partner that with doing the work yourself, like reading the books, fasting, praying, and really doing inner work, it's like magic. Yeah.
Did you have a therapist that was a Black woman, or were they not a Black woman?
At first, I didn't even know the face of my therapist. Okay. The first therapist I went to was like virtual. Oh. And I didn't want to see the face.
Oh, you didn't want to?
I opted. I just wanted to talk. That's it.
Okay.
And now I have a Black woman. Okay. Because, when you say that, but a Haitian woman also is different as far as your stories. They kind of understand a little bit culture-wise because culturally, I feel like issues might be different depending, like, my sister, when she was in college, she had a Chinese roommate with her. And culturally, things were so different for her that her therapist needs might be completely different just from someone might not understand the culture of your upbringing and parent, and you're trying to explain it to them. It's probably not a good fit.
Right. Because they may say, go tell them this. And you're like, I can't say that.
Culturally, I cannot say that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's wonderful. I think it's also important, if you can, to get a therapist who has Christ in them.
Yes. I was going to say that too.
Oh, okay. That's so important because there's certain things on a spiritual level that a person can help you with and can also see things or get advice from the Lord. And I mean, God can use anyone regardless.
Yeah.
But if you can get a spirit-filled therapist, I feel like you're good to go.
You're great to go. Yeah.
So you've talked about keeping your mystery as a feminine woman and how important it is to be mysterious and to have some things that you sort of keep to yourself. So how can women be more mysterious in life? I think that's something that women are always trying to figure out. What should they share? What should they keep to themselves? Why they should keep it to themselves? What advice would you give to someone who is looking to know how they can be more mysterious?
The number one advice I would give is you don't have to, it doesn't matter how much you trust someone, unless they're your spouse, of course. You don't have to tell them your whole backstory, your whole life. I used to be that person. I felt, I have to tell you my whole backstory, all my mistakes, everything I've ever done. And you just give too much of yourself, I would say keep some of your stuff. Like, I'm a strong believer in not praying in secret, but like not letting everything come out of your mouth for everyone to hear. So even certain prayers, I won't pray out loud, I keep it to myself, confess between me and God. And if I confess it with God, I don't have to it's not that you're reserved or you're, what's the word people use when you keep stuff to yourself, like you're sneaky or something like that. You're keeping stuff. Yes. It's not necessarily that, but it's like once you work hard to transform yourself as a woman specifically, you don't really have to go back in the place. It's like if God can take it and forget it and throw it out there, like I don't need to revive it because humans don't forget. Yes. They're not as forgiving.
No.
And even if they love you, they still can have their own judgments,
Absolutely.
Even if they love you. So some things keep to yourself. Some thoughts, leave them for yourself. That's always my number one thing. And of course, the second thing is to always surprise yourself also. That keeps you mysterious. Like do things that you normally probably wouldn't do, positive things, of course, but like surprise yourself. Don't get comfortable with yourself either. Don't get complacent, out of your comfort zone, always transitioning, like becoming a new person. Each year you should be a different version of Dr. Michelle, for instance, than I was last year. Something about you should change. And when you have that mindset, you're naturally going to start to do things and attract things that's going to bring that change in you. So that keeps you mysterious too, because then now people can't read what she's transforming so much all the time. Every time I see her, mentally, spiritually, she's transforming her state of mind. It kind of leaves you like, people are always guessing what's going on in her head now. What is she thinking about, you know?
That's a really beautiful way of looking at things. I like that, especially when you talked about even praying in your mind and not even speaking it. Sometimes when I'm praying, I'm thinking, can the devil hear this?
Yes. I love that. You don't even know
he's going to know my plans. But no, it's great when you're in a place where you're trying new things and it keeps a mystery and it just keeps you fresh and vibrant. And especially when you're in a relationship or even when you're married, people can sometimes feel like they know everything about you. They know what you're going to say, what you're going to do. And when you just do something out of nowhere, out of the blue that surprises them, it lets them know that there's more to you and they don't know everything.
Exactly.
And that keeps people always coming back. So I like that. That's really great. You had a quote on your Instagram page by Oscar de la Renta that says, a woman today knows the power of femininity is important. In your opinion, what do you think is the most important ways for a woman to rest in her femininity?
Number one is to rest.
To rest.
To rest. Literal rest. I've been reading a lot of books too, like The Courage to be Disliked and The Courage to be Happy. And a lot of it is just, I feel like competition, the need to compete all the time. Like since the beginning of time, since we were young, we were taught to have good grades, be valedictorian, or, graduate with the highest of honors, which is so competitive. So we naturally just have competitive spirits. And even as women, they compete for almost everything, Men compete too, but we tend to have less of a sisterhood, unfortunately, especially culturally, because it's such a competitive nature. And what I love in The Courage to be Disliked is that he said, free yourself from the need to compete. And you will feel a weight lift off your shoulders when you just consciously catch yourself competing. Like you see something, you're like, nope, I'm happy where I'm at. And it allows you to rest, because a lot of the times we don't rest because there's so much going on, especially as women. If you're a mom too, my friends, I see it, like it's a lot. And you're doing so much, especially if you're trying to build your business or you have a passion, you're an entrepreneur. So you want to do everything and still have time for your child and your loved ones, your sisters, your family. You don't want to neglect your, parents. They're not always going to be here and stuff. But a lot of the times what motivates us is not always passion and the love of what we're doing, but the goals of what we're doing. Like what position is it going to place me in life? I'm going to be a first-class citizen once I accomplish this. And it makes you not rest, because that's where hustle culture comes from. And I feel like when women don't rest, it's harder on us hormonally. When you don't get your hours of sleep, it affects you. Beauty sleep is a thing, So if you don't sleep, the eye bags, everything, it shows on us physically. It weighs on us mentally. And when you don't rest, how can you rest in your femininity if you're not physically resting? The whole term resting is to stop and take a break, breathe, take care of yourself, and don't think about, like, I'm not saying to be lazy, like when I explain that to people, or don't go after your dreams or anything like that. But at least one day out the week or 2 days out the week, you're not thinking of your goals, competition, all the things you have to accomplish. Today I'm just a woman. And I'm resting, and I'm going to do what I need to do to rest, like hands down.
Yes, that is so true. I feel like you're just reading my life right now, because I have not been able to rest because of the baby. It definitely does take a toll on the way that you feel, your hormones. I mean, everything kind of starts going out of whack. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of women are struggling with a lot of things physically in their bodies because of the fact that they don't rest. And rest is a luxury. It is. It is a luxury to be able to rest. Unfortunately, some people don't feel like they can. But I will say that God himself rested on one day after making the whole world. He believed that rest was necessary. And if he rests and he tells you to rest, that's important, then who are you to say you can't? Okay.
I saw this quote on Instagram that touched me, where they were talking about, can you imagine one of the desires, the greatest desires of our ancestors was the ability to rest.
Oh, wow.
And it touched me so much. Can you imagine?
No.
They would have given anything to rest.
Just to rest.
And it's like now if you're able to, you don't have someone over you, take the opportunity. But I feel like especially women of color, we've just been so conditioned to not rest. And once you see a woman who's well rested, she slept, she's not in the hustle, like you see it in her face, her attitude, the way she walked, like you see it, you know?
See it.
So, yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And some people have this saying, like, I'll sleep when I die.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then you will die.
Okay.
Then you will die. Yeah. Because you just can't keep going like that.
Yeah, you can't.
And that's beautiful. I know just from your videos and how cute you always dress and your Instagram page that you love looking beautiful and fine dining and just being in opulent spaces. And you have a lot of like aesthetically pleasing things that you do. Sometimes you're just pouring like a glass of wine. It looks so beautiful. Yeah. But I also know that you enjoy nature and you enjoy being out and just taking in the environment. And I think you even said that the earth has music for those who listen. It was a quote that you posted. The earth has music for those who listen. I'm like, wow, the earth does have music. Birds and water. So I want to know, what is your favorite way to enjoy nature?
I love the beach. I love animals a lot too.
What do you?
I love animals. I don't necessarily want to touch them.
Okay.
But I love to like go to the zoo. I know it's like childish. Sometimes I will tell my grown friends, let's go to the zoo and bring the kids. Let's all go. But I love the zoo. I love them because when you really look, like you said with the music, if you hear certain birds of paradise just speak, it's wow, someone created that. God created that, you know? Or when you're at the ocean, just the sound of the waves alone, like you could sit there for hours and just let your mind go. Your thoughts are so deep. And animals have a way just to see some of the human-like nature they have. Like if you see a bear protecting its child and you've ever seen a mom protecting their child, or even lions when they're showing each other affection, licking each other and, you know, nuzzling up, such like a fierce animal, you know, just cuddling. It's so nice to see. It just, I don't know. I feel like they were meant to be pure when you look at moments like that. So that's my favorite way to enjoy nature, is basically anywhere where there's animals or just nature itself without any towers or any like, I don't want to see a building. That's the best way. When there's no buildings, that's the best way to enjoy nature. Yeah.
I really think people take that for granted, people who have it, because they don't realize that people are seeking that. They're playing all these ASMR videos of like
they are.
water and trees. And it's like some people are able to actually be in that all the time. And their spirits are just different.
You see it.
You see it. You see it in them.
Yeah.
They're more relaxed and rested. So in talking about being connected to God and you're comfortable talking about God, you know, and that's major, again, because it is something that a lot of people are afraid to do. And I do think it's powerful when you see women that you admire who are not yelling at you or acting holier than thou or looking like they put no care into themselves, thinking that that's the only way to be. It really does inspire people to embrace the Lord and just allow him to be able to come into their lives. So for you personally, as someone who is close to the Lord, how has faith in God changed your life?
It's everything for me. Like since I was young, we've been just conditioned. But I really, I'm not even going to lie to you. I had because I was raised like in the church. Church was like a 5-day-a-week thing. It was an all day, every day thing. But I had my own moment. I'd say 2020 was when I really had that like transformation for myself. And I knew for myself. But it was always, it dictated my life. And I thought I like had a relationship with them or I knew certain things, you know. But you have kind of like an arrogance sometimes when you're like a church kid type. You feel like you know, I'm saved in this. And then there's some things God bring you through to humble you. Some mistakes you make and things you do where you just have more of like you understand why he's compassionate and why he's forgiving and slow to anger, because you realize, wow, I didn't know. So maybe he's this compassionate because he knows they don't know, or they didn't go through that journey yet, because he had that patience with you, you know? So if he had it with you, be patient with everybody else. But it dictates everything. I literally can see God in anything. Anything I could see him and talk about him. I don't get tired. But it gets, again, you don't want to be preachy or, with people. It can, YouTube can be a little way, but it's sometimes hard not to incorporate it with certain things, because I really try to not go back certain places. And when you've known where you come from and where he delivered you from, it's hard not to incorporate him into everything. It's really hard.
It's so hard. I'm glad you understand that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like I'm always going back there, and I know some people get a little turned off by that.
I know they do.
But like I said, it's so hard not to when you are that much in love with the Lord because of what he's done for you and because of what you've seen. And, people will get there as well if they open themselves to it. God is for everyone.
Yeah, he is. I love that. Yes.
In talking about coming from such humble beginnings and being in a country like Haiti, where you really have to rely on God, I think that it's so important when we talk about faith. A lot of times when we see places that experience these grand miracles, people wonder, why are there so many of these miraculous things happening in parts of Africa and Haiti and some of these other islands? And I think it's because here we have so much that we don't have to depend on God. But when you're in a place where God is all you have, you don't have money for medicine, and you don't have these special doctors and all of these different escape routes, you only have God. That's where your faith is truly pure. You have nothing else to lean on except God, and he can really show up and show out. And I think for anyone who is from a place where you've seen that, I can see how that can strengthen you in a way. Do you feel that that's in any way impacted how you see God?
Yes. I always said if I was born here, I probably would have been atheist. But the fact that I witnessed so much, supernatural stuff. Where I was born, Lago Nave, Haiti, for instance, like I said, there was no buildings. The houses were literally made with coconut leaves. So there was no entertainment, no television, nothing like that. So nature was, in a sense, its own sermon already. Even if you weren't Christian, those who practiced other, spiritual worship, they use nature a lot and that form of practice also. So it was kind of like everyone was taking from it, and you have no choice. I always say, if you're Haitian, you had no choice. It's either you're Christian, you're on that side of the world, or you're on that side, because there was literally no in between. I've never met a Haitian atheist in my life. Never.
Wow.
Because you see too much to just, So it definitely changed my life, especially when you go to college. You get a lot of philosophy, ideology, a lot of stuff that makes you question. And if I didn't witness what I witnessed, I could have really, left and went a whole direction. But what always brings me back is, okay, I've experienced the name of Jesus. I witnessed these things. So I know it's true because I've seen it for myself, So I think it played the biggest role in how I see God. Just the fact that you can't really play around, know.
You can't really play around.
But in America, it's kind of like everybody's comfortable. You working, there's distractions, there's TV. There's a lot that can keep you, but when you from places like this, that's it. That's your life, school, church, and that's it.
And in America, our depression rates are the highest.
It is.
And
it really is
because of things like that. I have some questions for you, some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So you just answer them quickly. Don't think too long.
Okay.
Just tell me what you think. Save 100 strangers or one loved one?
100 strangers.
See the future or change the past?
Change the past.
Passion or stability?
Passion.
Predictability or excitement?
Excitement.
Growth or security?
Security.
Money or love?
Love.
Success or happiness?
Happiness.
Poor and happy or rich and miserable?
Poor and happy.
Yes.
Ooh, do I have to choose?
My goodness. Cherished or respected?
Respected.
Intense pain for 10 minutes or dull pain for 1 day?
Dull pain for 1 day.
Overly optimistic or overly pessimistic?
Overly optimistic.
False hope or unnecessary anxiety?
False hope, yeah.
Massive success by accident or modest success on purpose?
Modest success on purpose.
No company or bad company?
No company.
Painful truth or comforting lie?
Comforting lie. I know.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a comforting lie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Rather. I'm too sensitive.
Pause time or rewind time?
Pause time.
Pause time.
Pause time.
Free travel for 1 year or free lodging for 5 years?
Free travel for 1 year.
Right. Second chance at love or a second chance for your career?
Second chance for my career.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Thank you. Well, before you leave, I want you to have this. These are my fragrances from my fragrance line, Fine Forever. And I would love for you to do a quick smell test because I know you love your fragrances. You talk about fragrances in your content. You talk about pheromones and all these different things that make women smell good. So your opinion matters to me. I would love to know what you think.
So
yeah, you can go ahead and open it. That first one is the debut fragrance,
this is beautiful packaging.
Thank you. And this was our very first fragrance.
This is beautiful.
I think you're
packaging.
gonna like this one.
Oh wow! I'm not even being dramatic. Wow! Wow! Wow!
So this was a fragrance.
It's not even overwhelming.
It's not to you.
It smells very expensive.
Wow,
it's very expensive.
You look very expensive. So
thank you.
You need to smell very expensive too.
Wow. Oh, I know she's gonna love this. Oh wow, I love this. What fragrance is this?
So this one's 2911. So this has peach. It has oud. That's that rich thing that you're smelling at the end. That heaviness is the oud. It's wood. It has pink pepper in it. It has amber, so like vanilla. It's very feminine, but it's also pretty like, it's for a woman who's like, you know, that woman.
Yes.
But this is the one that I thought, just based on what you've talked about in your content that you like, this is the one I thought you would like the most. But you can tell me at the end which one you like the most. This one is Silent Storm. Thank you. This is Silent Storm.
Your packaging. Did you do this yourself? Like choose the packaging?
Yeah, my husband and I did.
Oh, wow. I love it a lot.
Thank you.
Oh, this is with God, you will be fine forever.
Yes.
Okay. This is gorgeous.
So this is part of our Faith collection.
Let me spray some more different. Oh, wow. Okay.
This is one I thought you would like.
Okay. This is my favorite so far.
That's what I thought. Based on what you said you liked in terms of the
this
scent.
This is my favorite. And I love the packaging too.
Thank you.
Wow. What is in this?
This one has sea salt. It has coconut milk. It has...
smells like the beach too.
Yeah, so it does...
Like a luxurious beach.
Yes, it's a very elevated beach scent, but it has musk in it, so it dries down to be a little bit more like a soft cashmere musk.
This one, white.
And this one is called Mustard Seed. And this one's definitely more happy and bright. But this one has hints of that first one in it. So I'm just curious to see what you're going to think.
This one too. Let me.
It's in there tight.
I know.
So it doesn't fall out.
Let me spray on this arm. Thank goodness I didn't put perfume on my...
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's almost like I knew. Okay, I'm sorry. This is my favorite. Okay. I really like this one. Oh, wow.
That one's my favorite.
This one's my favorite.
Mustard Seed.
I love this one too. I love all of them, but wow.
Yeah, Mustard Seed is so special. Wow. I feel like God himself put his hand in that one.
Really love this one. Yeah, very soft, very elegant. Oh, I love this. Wow.
I'm so happy that you love it.
Oh my goodness, I have to do a review for you. Like a real one. I love this one. This is my favorite.
Yay! That's my favorite too. I'm really happy that you love them.
The packaging is so cute.
Oh, wow.
Girl. This is very creative.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
You're
much.
Welcome. Well, I want to say thank you so much to you, Corinne, for coming and being on the Dr. Daf Show. You're amazing. You're so beautiful inside and out. Your spirit just radiates. When I first met you, I was just like, oh my goodness, you are just so precious.
Thank you so
And I'm
much,
so proud of all you're doing. You do have a second channel, right?
Yes.
What is the name of that channel?
It's Karine Alourde Mental Gems. And I just basically do finance stuff on there too, but also mostly like mental gems content like this, you know, talks like this too, different topics, friends, etc. Whatever my mind tells me to do on there. Yeah.
So subscribe to Carine's second channel if you're someone who wants conversations that are a little bit deeper, and you are going to start doing vlogs on that channel too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. You travel and she goes to these nice places. It's nice to be able to watch someone who is joyful in their life and experience life with them. Thank you, my love.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Thank
you so much.
Bye-bye.